Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm here with my good friend Angelica Zahran Davila, who joining me today. I'm in Chicago, she's in California, but we're excited to finally have this conversation that we've been trying to connect over the last couple months. But thank you so much for taking the time to join me today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, so usually, well, first of all, the way that we connected was through our mutual friend, Crystal Mercado Murphy, who's awesome. And I know that there was a really cool kind of women entrepreneur group that was developing on the peninsula that where you guys were all kind of supporting each other and your different endeavors. And so it was really kind of cool to see the collaboration that you guys were all having. And so to get to meet you and see what you're up to, I just wanted to learn more and to kind of share that with some of the folks that are going to be watching. So for those that don't know, would love to hear more about kind of where you're from, where you grew up, and how you wound up in Monterey as the entrepreneur and mother and all the different things that you're doing.
Oh my gosh, against my will, I'm here to be quite honest. My parents divorced in 2011, so my mom's from Carmel, so she moved us over here after.
Okay.
So I did high school and college out here, but I ended up falling in love with it. I mean, it's beautiful being on the peninsula, even though I'm more of a mountain girl myself. But yeah, I'm originally from Pine Canyon, which everyone's like, where the heck is that? But it's south of King City, is what I tell people. So I grew up on the
Okay.
canyon of King City, and then I went to school inland. So that's where I'm originally from. And then
So
when I
did you
moved
go to
here,
school in King City?
yeah, elementary school was in
Okay.
King City, yeah, and then my middle school years actually were in Tulare, California, which is another place nobody ever heard of. I know my parents just love
I
the
actually just
ruralness.
I just played a festival there last weekend
Oh no
in
way.
in a town called Orsoni or Orizi or
Oh,
right next to
Orosi?
Dinuba.
Yeah, yeah, Erosi. Yeah, I think I
Orosi,
know where you're
yeah.
talking. Yeah, yeah. Oh, see, okay.
Okay.
So basically in the middle of nowhere. That's where I went to middle school.
It's beautiful, but yeah, it's out there.
Oh yeah, yeah. And I was like hanging out with friends out in the creek banks and like catching frogs for fun. So when I moved over here and people like do things like their nails and their hair, I was completely out of the, I
Yeah.
guess, cool people side of things. So yeah, I adapted fairly quickly, I guess. After, especially when I became a cheerleader, is when I had to learn the ropes of how to be a Monterey. So yeah.
So that was where you went to high school at Monterey High?
Okay, listen, I went
A
to
few
so many
different
high
ones.
schools. Yeah, so I went to Greenfield High for like 3 months. Then I went over to Monterey High and I was there up until my sophomore year. Junior and senior, I was at Seaside High, and that's where I graduated from.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I hopped
Cool,
around.
cool. Yeah, so it's funny because I grew up in Watsonville and Castroville, and Castroville is a small town that a lot of people
Hmm.
don't know about. But the thing about Castroville is it's kind of in between everything. So you even if you don't know much about it, you pass through it all the time. Whereas,
Oh
like you
yeah.
mentioned about Pine Canyon, there's parts of our area that we grew up that, I've never even been. And I grew up in the area. Like the other day I was showing clients property in Piscinas out on Highway 25, and I was like,
Oh yeah.
we started in Hollister and we damn near wound up in Soledad, like on the back. And I was like, huh, I've never
Yeah, yeah,
even been
yeah.
back here, like
I love
Pinnacles and all
it.
that. Yeah, so there's like a whole world that most people, Carmel and Monterey get a lot of attention, but there's a whole other side of Monterey and San Benito County that most people never see.
Correct. Yeah, no, and I know exactly what you're talking about. There's a place, I don't know if you heard of Arroyo Seco.
Oh
Like,
yeah, 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 of course.
okay, that was the place to be growing up. That was like,
Yes,
you guys had
the
the
gorge.
beach. Yes, everyone had Pebble
Yep.
Beach and things. Oh, we had Arroyo Seco. We'd go out there illegally and
Yep.
just trespass. Who cares about this? It's a sign, not a cop. So, we'd go
Yeah,
in there
yeah,
with our
yeah.
barbecue stuff. And yeah, so I
That
love
was
all that area.
where that's where I learned how to jump off rocks.
Oh,
So
good.
we had a lot of good times out there growing up. In fact, I've
Oh,
thought about getting a place down there because it is kind of a best kept secret for people that
mm-hmm.
know about it. And in the back roads, oddly enough, you can go all the way from Greenfield to like Carmel Valley, and like
Correct.
it's quite a it's quite a trek. But that's cool.
Yeah.
So you grew up in the area. I wasn't sure about that. How and then kind of what did you do after high school? Did you stay local or did you get out of town or?
No, actually. So after I did the college thing, I decided to go to San Diego to get an international credential so that I
Okay.
could eventually move out to Europe. So then after that, I moved to Europe. And that was an amazing time in my life. And then when that was over, because I decided to get married, here to an American. I came back to America, and so we were living in the Bay Area, but then eventually we came back home here because he was also from Monterey. So
Okay.
like I just for some reason I can't leave this area no matter how much I actually try. I tried so hard to leave that I left the country, and then the cards were like, "Nah, you're coming back." And yeah, so now I'm here.
Well, yeah, it has a special kind of hold on people. A lot of folks that leave as young adults wind up back here. I think it's the weather. I mean, I'm here in
Yeah.
Chicago and it's spring and it does not feel like spring here. You
Mm-mm. No,
know?
no, no. I went to New York in February and March, and I love the East Coast, don't get me wrong. But when the wind picks up and it's like super cold, your ears feel like they're gonna fall off. And I realized that I am so ungrateful for ever taking Monterey weather for granted. Because I
Yeah,
came back here and it was our winter. I was like, oh, this is so nice. I'm gonna
right,
go sunbathe in the clouds right now.
right.
So,
Did you
yeah.
now? So when you got that international credential and you were living in Europe, what parts of Europe were you in, and what kind of stuff were you studying?
I keep going to places that no one ever hears about. I was in a country called Andorra, which when people hear about it, they're like, yeah, and I have to explain. It's like a small little pocket of land between France and Spain on the
Hmm.
north side, and between the Pyrenees.
Hmm.
So I was out there, I was teaching at this really cool school, just a bunch of different types of international students. And after
Close to
that,
Basque Country, right?
yes, yes, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So there's like the Catalan part on this side, and then there's the Basque on the other side.
Ah,
And it was super easy to get to one way or another, but ultimately beautiful weather too. I actually will not complain about it. And the people were awesome because they're so accommodating. So like even for people who are newcomers and an immigrant like I was, they were like, "Oh, how can we help? You don't understand the paperwork because everything is in Catalan. They like Spanish would be considered their third language or something.
okay.
So you would think like, oh, it's close to Spain, it's close to France. Yeah, those are like their fourth languages. Their first one is Catalan, and if you're there, they will force you almost to learn the language. And then if they realize that you're struggling, then they'll switch over to like English and Spanish. Um,
Yeah.
but
Especially that region of Europe, most people speak three, four, five languages. You know,
oh yeah.
Americans can't really comprehend. I mean, I speak English and uh, decent Spanish, but I think I could get by over there, but it would be interesting.
Oh, it was great. I mean, for me, I am advanced in Italian and they speak Italian there too. So it was really easy to pick up on the Catalan because Catalan is made up of Spanish, Italian, French, uh, and some else I can't remember. But it's all these like Latin-based languages just mushed into one. I thought that was awesome. So when I was
Yeah.
hearing some of the words, it was like, you know how we say Spanglish, where we're
Yeah.
mixing both English and Spanish? It was
Right.
like a bunch of ish like together
Yeah.
and I had to like learn it, but it was easy to pick up being
Yeah.
able to learn all these other languages too. So
Well,
I
you
liked it.
have an interesting cultural background on both different parents, right? And I had actually done a wedding a few years ago in Monterey, and it was a Palestinian Mexican wedding, and I thought, oh, this is going to be fun.
No
I
way.
yeah, and I
That's
was like,
awesome.
so I got the music list, and I was like, okay, I've kind of put it together. I was a wedding DJ for a season, and right there in what is it called, the Perry House in Monterey, and
Uh-huh.
just an awesome blend of cultures,
Oh
and
yeah.
and that what I try to tell people that don't really understand, because I have Mexican heritage, which if you have Mexican heritage, that probably means you're some kind of indigenous, some kind of European, like mostly probably Spanish. But if you're Spanish, you're probably maybe Jewish or Arabic or
Yes. Yes.
or maybe even Irish, right? And so there's all these
Yeah.
mixes of or Portuguese or whatever. And so we're all kind of cousins. And I love hearing, I mean, you literally have blended the cultures within your own family, but I love
Hmm.
like you can hear it in the music, you can hear it in the words, you can taste it in the food. I mean, we might call it something different, but it's essentially a lot of the same stuff.
Yeah, even the parental discipline methods, the chancla, they have the chancla too, the the escoba, like everything that you can think of, it's like cousins is almost an understatement. We're like borderline siblings, but I
Yeah,
really,
yeah.
I really get excited when I hear people mixing, even if it's just any type of Hispanic or Latino with any other Arab or Mediterranean culture because it makes me feel like I'm
Yes.
not the only one. It's like, oh, you
Yeah.
understand me.
Yes,
Yeah.
totally. So like there's certain phrases, right? Like that in Spanish people would say like ojalá, right? Things like that, like
Inshallah.
or just yeah, exactly. And so or horse culture, right? Which is huge in the
Yeah.
States now, or even the guitar, the Spanish guitar that was, I mean the influence of those cultures and obviously the architecture and algebra and all the different things like that. But like people, I just explain it simply like, in Arabic they might say al, like al, right? Well, in Spanish we just say el, like el. It's essentially like so if
Yeah.
you think about it, just it's not that hard of a now if you go to like Mandarin or another language like that, that's like a completely different side of your brain and your tongue. But like
Oh,
anything in the
100%.
Mediterranean, like North African, Middle Eastern, like culture and language, it's all kind of from the same roots anyway.
Yeah, no, actually, in Arabic, we say al, el, and il, which in il you hear a lot in Italian, el in Spanish, and al in Arabic. So it's, yeah, and then if you look into the Italian history, and even Sicilian history, the language, there's a
Yes.
lot of Arabic in there too. I mean, the Ottoman and the Byzantine, they were all over that area.
Right.
So, I mean, they
Well, people don't, yeah, Northern Italy is very different than Southern Italy, right? As far as the culture.
100%.
There's a lot of Swiss Italians in the north, and they're more
Hmm.
like Western European. And then in the Mediterranean, even like you said, Sicily was probably the most like invaded island, right, of
Yeah,
Europe. And so because of that, their food and their language and their culture really reflects that, right? That's why they're kind of so tough because they've been fighting for all these years because they're right in the middle of the
correct.
Mediterranean. So everyone has wanted that land over the years, so they've had to fight for it. So the language kind of reflects that, which is cool.
Yeah.
So, that's an amazing story. I didn't know all of that. How, and then kind of once you got back to the peninsula, was it more school or is that when you started your first business? Where did it go from there?
No, when I got back to the peninsula, I immediately started working at schools again. But at that point, my ex and I had our first son,
Okay.
and I, listen, $11 an hour being a personal trainer at InShape was what he was doing. Me making 55 to 60K a year working at the school, like I didn't want that for my kid, you know? So
Right.
I being that I'm a history teacher, I know that this is capitalist country and I know what it thrives off of in its business. So he started this thing where he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna work in the day, my passion, and then at night, I'll try to like do some small plumbing stuff." And I was like, "Well, you have 7 years under your belt. You qualify for a contractor's license." So it was a while until I kept just like nudging and pushing and just go get it, go do it. I will take care of all this other aspect that comes with business because I have an associate's degree in business. So I know the structure of things. I know how to, use the Secretary of State situation over here. And then you just be the hands, you do the work. So finally, we decided to move forward with that. He got the contractor's license. I started marketing the media, the emails, everything. And we pushed it forward from there and we started the phone business. After that, word got around, and it was also through mutual people talking to me or asking, like, how did he do this? And I'd say, oh, well, he didn't, I did it. And then they started saying, well, can you help me build my business? And I was
Yeah,
like, sure, I guess. And at first I was basically doing charity. And I realized, I can charge for this. What am I doing here? So
absolutely.
I started that as a side hustle and it worked out because then I created my company that I have now. And it's been going on since 2021. So I'm proud to say that I keep the ball rolling. It's still alive. It's still going. And I've
And
made,
that's kind of your consulting business. You turn
yeah,
that
that's
into your, yeah, like business and marketing consulting, basically.
Yeah, and it's mostly focused on legality. So like getting you set up with an entity and then
Filings.
giving you the ability to have a 1 year warranty with an agent. So a lot of people think it's just throwing in your name to the Secretary of State, getting approved, whatever, and then you're good. It's like, no, you have all of these other things and all of these other questions that are going to come up during
Yep.
your time as a first year entrepreneur, like, why am I getting flooded with all this mail? Is this legit? Do I have to actually pay for that, etc.?
Right.
Well,
Right.
if you just either want to do it on your own or you want to pay a self whatever service, whatever, you're not going to have
Right.
that guidance. But for me, I realized that these people have more questions. They need more support than just doing the basic filing of things. So I come in there, I even help them make contracts, policies, things like for workers' compensation. They have no idea how to submit anything, So it's all of
Yep.
those things. It's like an umbrella of different consulting that I provide for all the clients that move forward with any of my services, no matter how
It's so
small.
so important. It's why I'm here right now in Chicago for a conference for the National Association of Apex Accelerators, which
Oh,
basically
wow.
what we do is help small businesses navigate government contracting. So you're someone that they need because a lot of client what we do is funded by the Department of Defense, so it's taxpayer dollars. So we don't charge clients for the consulting that we give.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
However, a lot of them need exactly what you do. And there's a
Mhm.
lot of folks that come to us that maybe they're contractors, maybe they're a plumber or, they're a drywaller, whatever it is skill that they have, or they have a company or they're a trucker or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's what they're good at, right? They're good at building or they're good at tearing things down or they're good at fixing things, but they're not necessarily good at running a business. So
Right.
getting your contractor's license, a lot of it doesn't come with the training for filing, right?
Mhm.
Or how to do taxes or how to do marketing or how to do contracting or how to write a proposal. They just know how to build a house, right? Or how to fix a parking lot or whatever the case may be. And so there's such a need for people like yourself, and that's why you've had the success because even though a lot of the tools and resources are free or are available or you can figure it out for yourself, most people don't have the wherewithal or the patience because it's a lot of paperwork and it's a lot of reading. That's why I always tell
Yeah.
people, they're like, how do we do this? I'm like, well, did you read it? Well,
Yeah,
no.
exactly.
I was hoping you would
Mhm.
just tell me. It's like, well, I'm going to tell you to read it.
Yeah. No, it's a lot of studying, and it's a lot of being able to sit down and do some of the work that if you're a contractor and you have to be out there
Yeah,
making the things, fixing the things, you can't be here in front of a
right,
computer on the phone. You have to have
right.
that extra support.
Yeah,
And yes, a lot of my contractors that have asked for services, like they are, I'm on the phone with them all the time. They're like, I don't
yeah.
understand. I'm like, it's okay, I got you. So that's been my main bread and butter is the filing stuff. All the other side things like marketing and whatever, that's been more of it. It's more like an add-on more than anything.
Well,
But
for instance, a lot of folks that don't have a lot of business owners should just go get a job and really it's a hobby or it's a passion. They're not truly business owners, right?
yeah,
So then you have sole proprietors, which is fine. You can be successful as a sole proprietor depending on the industry. And then you have people to get an LLC or people get an S corp or C corp. So in the government space, in order to register your entity or get certifications as a woman-owned business or whatever it might be, um, you have to show your stock options, you have to show your board minutes, you have to show all these things. We're
all
like,
of that.
oh, I just didn't. So, a lot of people will sign up on LegalZoom or whatever it is and not realizing that maybe that's not the appropriate designation for your type of business, you
Correct.
know?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's actually, so one of my favorite things about traveling is that I make new clients pretty much wherever I go. And one of my favorite clients right now is someone that I met at the airport in Burbank. And they went to school, they studied, they did everything, they got their license to be a chiropractor. And then he's like, well, I realized I'm educated. I'm essentially good to go in terms of being able to practice, but I'm not fully documented per se. And so if I wanted to open a business, how could I do that? Like if I wanted to do my own practice. And I was like, I raised my hand, like me, pick me. So I was able to help them with
Yeah.
the C Corp section of things, and
Wow.
for them, to be able to build their business as they are arranging their situation with being fully documented in the country. And he's Palestinian. He actually saw the
Oh,
bags.
wow.
Yeah, yeah. He was at the same airport as me. He saw my bags that said Jerusalem on it because I went to the Jerusalem Roastery, which I let shout out to Jerusalem Roastery. I love you guys. And they
Wow.
they have like a bunch of spices and things from Palestine. And he's like, just we started the conversation about that. And then that's when he told me. And I started to explain certain things, like the difficulties that he will encounter.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, entrepreneurship is not like a one size fits all type of situation
No.
when it comes to, you know, getting an entity, filing the appropriate way based on the structure of a business, how many
Yep.
people you have, employees, things like that.
Yep.
And as he was listening to me speak, he's like, I have no idea how to do any of that, but I want to do it. And I
Yeah.
told him that, yeah, I can help you with that. So, yeah, I helped him. He has his business, his entity, and yeah, he's one of my favorite clients just because I was able to help
It's awesome.
one of my people, but also one of my people, meaning like,
Yeah.
I come from also an undocumented parent that eventually got, his citizenship, but the startup of things, it's scary. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, no one wants
Yeah.
to help me because I'm, my situation. And it's no, there's a lot
Right.
of people that are willing to help. And what has helped me to help undocumented people become fully legal entrepreneurs is the fact that my sister is going to law, well, not law school, she's going to UC Santa Cruz, but she's studying law for specifically immigration. So I
Wow.
call her up. She's like one of my team members now. I'm like, hey, I got a client that this is their situation. What do you suggest? And then she goes and she does her best. She talks to her professor, she talks to her alumni, things like that. And we get this person
See,
set up.
and I love the work that you're doing. It's so important. And like you mentioned, it's serving a sector of our culture and of our economy that maybe gets ignored or maybe doesn't because of their culture or because of their documentation status. They don't really take full advantage of the benefits that are available to others, even though they're paying
Hmm.
taxes, even though they're
Hmm.
abiding by the rules and laws, they don't fully get to access the benefits that they should have just because of some of those technicalities or some of those
Right.
misconceptions, which it breaks my heart. So I try my best as well to help educate people. On the other side of the coin, I also tell folks, hey, if you're planning to do business with the American government, you better have someone on your team that understands English.
Correct. Yes. Yeah.
That's just the
Um,
reality. Business
y-
worldwide, for the most part, is done in English. And so if you plan to be successful in business, you need to have at least someone on your team that can help you read through contracts. I can help you to an extent, but I can't do it
yeah.
all for you.
Yeah. And it's really important to have people on your team that knows legal English. And I always
Yes.
tell people legalities, any type of contracts documentation, it's a whole different language sometimes because we think that it's just scratching the surface, basically on understanding in depth certain things. And you can get in a lot of trouble if you do not understand certain verbiage and sign
Mhm.
off on things that are just disastrous in the long run.
Right.
So for me, I have that support system also with corporate lawyer section, whether it's
Good.
my dad or my godfather, who are both in corporate law. And so I tell them, this is the type of client, this is the type of business this client wants to obtain and to build. Is there something
Yeah.
specific that we should add into their statements?
Well,
And
it's so good. It's a dirty little
yeah.
secret of contractors that like prime contractors that have government contracts. Not saying that they're bad, that's just how things are done. They a lot of times the point of entry for small businesses is as a subcontractor, right?
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of those primes will put things in the contracts that they wouldn't sign themselves
Mm-hmm.
because they can.
Exactly.
And so if you don't know, and then I'll have, sometimes people call us, well, can you help? Well, we don't have the authority to help. And typically the contracting officer or the agency paying for the project, they're not going to get in the middle of a prime and a sub. So I said,
Yeah.
well, maybe you can call an elected official or you can call an attorney. But if you're going to be getting into a multiple six-figure, seven-figure contract, and you think you can do that without having an attorney review it, that's just not good business.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, I totally agree, and I can't tell you how many times I've gotten some people out of trouble because of, yeah, they get so excited, right? They see the numbers of like, yes, but at the end of the day, business is business, and even the people that are supposed to be the ones paying and on the other side of the situation, if they can find a loophole to screw you over, they
Oh, yeah,
will.
yeah, yeah.
They
Well,
totally
and
will.
again, it's not even to screw you over, it's to max out their own benefit, right? And so sometimes you get screwed by default if you
Hmm.
don't know how to protect yourself. And
Yep.
but a lot of in those communities that you mentioned, we have the Mexican community in common, and honestly, and this is a generalization, but I would say in some ways the Arabic community is better at business in the sense of like business ownership, right? So obviously, Mexican people are known as very hardworking people. I'm super proud of that heritage and that reputation, but not as often do you see them in business ownership, right?
Yeah.
Whereas what I've seen in Arab culture, it's kind of a more of an important issue is to be the owner of your business, whether it's a tobacco shop or whether it's a law firm or whatever it is, they have that mentality of wanting to have ownership. So how did you growing up with those different like cultures influencing your business mind? Like kind of can you dive into that or explain how that was for you?
Yeah, so my entire life, my dad has wanted me to be ultimately a judge. So he pushed me into law school. He's like, I don't care what kind of law you do, just, get into it.
Okay.
Being that
Okay.
all I've ever seen was corporate, I dove into business and corporate law. But on top of his day job, my parents also had a lot of real estate in King City in particular that they would rent out specifically to police officers and firefighters and nurses. Like they wanted to be able to house that community. And they
Yeah.
knew that they would pay. So um, on top of that, they were also business owners of a restaurant out
Mm.
in another rural city called, I kid you not, it's a real thing, Farmersville. I
Isn't that
know.
a game on Facebook? No.
Yeah, I was like, really? You found Farmville in California? They're like, yeah, it's great. So the reason that I know, the reason that they chose that place, this is my entrepreneur mindset dad, is that he's like, there's a lot of people who work in el campo, right? Campesinos that are always looking for something fast and they can get kind of tired of just American McDonald's and stuff like that. They might want their own like Mexican food. So let's do Mexican fast food. So it's like burritos and tacos like on the go.
Yeah.
Um, and they had finished the entire project and they decided that they wanted to all of a sudden, after building an entire restaurant, ask for my opinion, who me, 13 years old at the time, was just a person outside looking in.
Mm.
And so my dad always values my opinion as something that I appreciate. And he's like, what do you think? And I said, honestly, I think that you should have done a carniceria or una marqueta, more like what we have, Santa Fe type of situation, or La Morenita
Yeah.
type, like a little market, right? They can
Little
still,
market with a taqueria on the side.
yeah,
Yeah.
like in the back
Yeah.
or something, right?
With
But
services and everything. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
he wanted it to be solely food. And he's like, why do you say that? And I said, because when the seasons come where maybe not everyone wants to eat Mexican food and a pizza factory just opened up next to us, like at least we can generate income from the butcher shop or the other stuff
Right.
that we sell here.
Right.
Um, and or start catering also. And he's like, oh well, I mean, I guess that sounds like a good idea, but we'll see in the long run. Boom, 2008 hit, right? 2008,
Yeah.
2009. The whole world is in flames regarding the housing market, everything, and
Right.
my parents' real estate is in jeopardy because now the police officers, firefighters, and nurses who we depended on, paying for the rent, were not paying for the rent. So they were trying to
Yeah. Yeah.
cover the mortgages via the business. And
Totally.
now people don't have money to be eating out,
Right.
but they do have money to buy meat to cook at home.
Right.
They do
Right.
have money for toilet paper and amenities and all the things
Yeah.
that you can find at a market, like I said. And
Right.
then my dad was like, you are going to be a great business owner one day if you
Yeah.
decide to open up your business. And I was
Well,
like,
it's
well,
the Levi Strauss strategy, right? So during the gold rush in the 1800s in California, everyone was trying to go get gold, and Levi Strauss was like picks and sifts and shovels and jeans, the denim that ended up becoming Levi's jeans,
mhm,
were overalls or whatever it was. And so, like you said, so you weren't in the campo, you weren't necessarily another restaurant because God knows we don't need more restaurants. But you're like,
yeah,
and as a business owner, not, and a lot of business owners make this mistake. Instead of asking, what is the market asking for? And how can I fulfill that need? They say, what do I want to do? What's my vision? What's my goal? And then it's an extension a lot of times of people's ego or of people's like fantasy. And then the hard reality hits. They put all this energy and all this work into this restaurant or to this project or this whatever, and they're very protective of it. And so they don't listen to consultants. They don't listen to people who know what they're talking about. And then they end up losing their ass
Exactly.
because they were, they had a dream, but they didn't know how to execute it in a way that made sense in that market.
Correct. Very true. And thank
And
you
you
for
knew
that
that at
inspiration.
13. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
I mean, I knew a lot of things about the gold rush. That one I didn't know, so thank you. I will
Yes,
jot that
yes,
one down.
yes.
But yeah, no, I mean, at 13, it was more of just like analyzing the situation and correct. No one needed another restaurant. But if it was, and I thought of it as a perspective of myself. Like I would love more candy shops. I was 13, I wanted snacks. I
Yeah,
wanted like all
yeah,
these
yeah.
things, right?
Hot
Like if you
Cheetos.
exactly, like if you have food in the back, that's just a plus.
Yeah.
But now more than ever, when I do analyze the market, I do analyze like what people would want, what they need, what's lacking and stuff. I we just it's an abundance of things. So after I had built the consulting agency and it did very well and things, I said, well, I have now the challenge of becoming a single mom and I need to generate more income because I'm the only one that provides for them. So how can I do that where I'm not constantly at the like discretion of somebody or the disposal of someone
Yeah.
by going back into the education system. Truthfully,
Right.
I worked for the Monterey Peninsula Unified School District and the politics I'm not very proud of. And I was constantly in a lot of the administrator's office, just like begging them for change. And yeah,
Mhm.
so I felt like I didn't really want to go back into that field for two reasons. For that, and then the other thing is I don't want people telling me what to do. I got used to being my own
Yeah.
boss. Like I can't know.
Yeah. I
So
know it's funny because I'm like a political nerd and I go to a lot of city council or county supervisor meetings and I'm just for research and to, be involved for the community and to be a voice and to also listen and learn of what's going on. So my wife will sometimes say that, and sometimes people will say that negatively, like, oh, government, local government or politicians, and they'll talk. I'm like, hey, politics is everywhere, man. Because she'll tell me about stuff going on in her school, and I'm like, politics is
yeah,
everywhere. Wherever there's people, there's politics. Whether
yeah.
it's corporate, whether it's government, whether it's in schools, it's the same kind of stuff. People are jockeying for position, people are building alliances and having agendas and
Oh yeah, man, it's
using
terrible.
this. It's like
Yeah, and it's like they even buy votes and stuff, and I'm just like,
oh yeah,
what is this right now? I'm like,
yeah,
we are just the Monterey County guys, chill out.
yeah.
But yeah, so all of that I wanted to steer clear from. But I was working more than ever during that time with just my consulting agency and trying to push in more marketing and things like that. And I did gain a lot of good top clients that I appreciate so much for their support and choosing me out of all of the marketing agencies that are out here. But I realized that
The
there was
pandemic, good or bad for business for you?
pandemic was good because we were
Good,
an
yeah.
essential business. So when
Okay,
you're an essential business, it's like, oh, perfect. Like there's no lack in work there. But of
right,
course, other I know other entrepreneurs that were not an essential business. Well, I mean, not an essential according to the government, because they're essential
right,
to a lot of people like hair salons and whatever, but they
totally.
were, they got shut down for a while and they had to
Right.
rely
I'm
on
sorry, but
the
gyms and bars are essential.
I mean, a lot of people are being sneaky out in Capitola, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah. Right.
And then I actually would have my girl come over and do my nails at home. So like, mask one.
I shave my own head after the first few months. I
Oh
forget
no.
this. Shave my own head. Luckily, my hair grows back fast, but
Oh
yeah,
man, no. No, pandemic was good only because of the essentialness. But getting out of the pandemic part where you're just like, oh, now you can interact with people. I realized that I was constantly outside and I was just like networking, and I got so jaded when I would get home that I noticed that it was sucking the life out of me to be out so much networking that I wasn't
mm,
able to give that to my kids. And I have four
Mm.
children, right? So four children with a lot of energy, with a lot of mom, look at this, listen to me, things like that. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
oh crap. So I decided I need to do something on top of what I already do that can be kind of like self, you know,
Yeah.
mm, not self done, but I mean it to an extent where I'm not constantly there, but it's still
Yeah.
generating income. And I
You could
remember
it could operate without you every single moment of every day. Yeah.
exactly. And I remember thinking like, man, what am I gonna do? So I was out actually apartment hunting when I came across I was in Carmel. I came across this little shop area that was for rent. And I was like, what would I put here? I'm like, it's small. I don't know what I would do. And I saw the phone number. I decided to call them up and they told me what the rent was, whatever. Then we had a conversation about what the guy was looking for. And I was like, I have no idea what I'm going to do here, but I want to rent it out. So I basically got a shop, not knowing what I was going to do.
I remember
Um,
when you first started working on it. That's so cool.
yeah, I was like, man, what the heck? And I was thinking retail. I'm like, no, they don't need another retail on friggin' Dolores Street. And then I was like, art. I'm like, are you kidding me? Art Central? No. And
Yeah.
and so I remember I was talking to my mom just about random stuff, and we always like to like drink tea together. And I'm looking at my tea, and she's like over here, and I'm just like, oh, I could do a tea shop, like a tea room. I could do tea, like people like speakeasies and stuff.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
there's some people that just don't enjoy alcohol. I mean, at least not
Or
to the ex.
coffee.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I'm
Yeah.
like, what can I do that's like different? That's whatever. And I know that there's another tea, uh, I guess person that does other tea shops and stuff, but it's not like the concept that I had. I didn't want people to come in and feel like they're at a Starbucks trying to get tea. Like I want them
Real
to come
quick.
in and
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. I'm like, I want them to come in and be like, I'm at my grandma's house and she has a garden and she just made tea for us, things like
Yeah.
that. So if you walk into
Yeah.
my shop, it looks like a little like cottage from Lord of the Rings. And that's only because I used my mother as a theme. My mom is
That's
like
so
this,
cool.
she's like a fairy, I swear. And so
That's so
she
cool.
has like a garden and she likes to put teas together. She likes like all the books that have to do with like Jane
Yeah.
Austen and crap. So the
Yep.
entire concept and theme was like solely for that. And my mom just was on board with it. She's like, how can I help? I'm like, be the face, be the person. Because
So cool.
yeah, I was like, and it's something for her too that she feels like she's a part of because she's always kind of been the backbone of the family, but it's
Yeah.
like the inclusivity part of it. So
And what is it
then
called?
Meadowbrook
What-
Tea Room.
Oh, nice. Nice.
And then right next door, the building becomes available. And I love the open concept, the open space. And I immediately call. It's my landlord. I was like, hey, you didn't tell me that this was for rent. Like, I'll take it today. And he's like, okay. And he sends over the contract. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do here either. And again, I'm like, with my fourth cup of coffee, I'm like, well, I drink this stuff so much, I might as well profit off of it. And then, of course, everything that's, the propaganda that's being spewed about my culture, my people, it's like, I
Yeah.
want to bring to the peninsula what we're really about. We're about
Yeah.
family, we're about tradition, we're about love,
Love
we're
that.
about God, we're about coffee.
I
Love
love
our
that.
coffee. So I created Haifa Coffee House. Haifa is where my family hails from in Palestine.
Oh,
And
wow.
when you walk into my coffee shop, everything is like antiques and chiseled countertops. And
Very cool.
like the concept was like if grandpa made everything with his,
I
you
love that.
know, hands that are still shaking and things like that. So it's all homey. And it's just a place that I want to bring people to sit down and enjoy a nice, wholesome environment with some good coffee, some good food also. I will be having things like a salad soup type of thing bar. And then on the flip side, I also have this amazing partner, Rose's Desserts, and she's making all the pastries, and you can come in for some yummy treats on top.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I'm trying to use that space also for like independent events. So like if people want to do a speed dating event or if they want to do poetry night, things like that, just to have that wholesome entertainment that
Very cool.
I feel lacks downtown Monterey. So yeah, I'm trying to do that.
Yeah, and this is in downtown Carmel.
Yeah, so
Okay,
it's
awesome.
It's between 5th and 6th on Dolores.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. I love that because I know obviously it's been a tough couple years and it's been very controversial politically, and it's easy to have strong opinions about what governments do or about what militaries do, right? And
Yeah.
justifiably so. But I think, and I respect you because you're in the middle of it, and I know that your opinions are educated opinions and passionate opinions. But I also know that we need those spaces like you've created where people can come in and leave all that at the door and just share a cup of tea and realize that we're more similar than we are different. Even though all of those issues are very real when you step outside that door, but providing that oasis and, like you said, sharing that other side of the culture, like obviously today, Cinco de Mayo, right? And the
Oh,
audacity of so many people that are going to be celebrating it and celebrating the culture
right?
when they're not connected to it or they're not respectful of it on the other days outside of Cinco de Mayo. And
Or
I mean,
even
so
versed on the history.
right.
Yeah,
So
like what?
you're feeling it on both sides of, I mean, it's such an interesting combination of your cultures, but that's made you who you are, right? That's why you're a strong leader. That's why you're a good parent and strong in the community. And I respect all those aspects because those spaces are so important. And I always tell because there'll be people that try to get me all riled up about this issue or that issue, and I'm like, look, dude, it's complicated. Me being like mixed race and culture, and it's like I'm always seeing different sides of things, and I think you can kind of see who the good people are and who the bad people are. Like, and again, it's not about national alliance or military or religion or whatever.
Yeah,
Those are the things
no.
that separate us, right? You can kind of tell the character of people by how they treat others, right? And it's okay. You can still talk about the history of things and you can talk about the current events from a research educated opinion, but a lot of folks, they're not even coming at it from that angle. They're only hearing one
Mhm.
side of it. And so they're just regurgitating the propaganda, like you said, the one side that they might be hearing or might be feeling. And so it's just so noisy that it's sometimes I can't wait to visit your shop because sometimes you need to just a space to block that stuff out and just like be human and connect with culture.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think I've come to the conclusion, I'm like, you can lead a camel to water, but you can't shove its head down and make it drink. And no matter
Yeah,
how much education I put out there, how many facts, how many books I recommend from
yeah,
actual like non-Zionist Jewish professors that have
yeah,
been vocal about everything, um, at this point, I've just concluded that if the information is there, I don't owe anybody an education and Google is free. But
right,
if you don't want to learn and you're
right.
just set on this concept that you've fed into because of government agendas, then you're not trying to look for peace or to understand the situation. You just want to continue being Islamophobic or xenophobic or whatever it is, and good luck to you because that's going to be a very miserable life when ish hits the fan one day and you need unity, and the only people that are probably going to be there at your disposal to help you is people that you have been a hater to for in the entirety of your life. And the worst part of it is that even though we get a lot of harassment and stuff, we're still very helpful people. If you
Yeah.
change your mind, we're not going to hold it against you that you said all these things in the past. And it's like, you know what, whatever, welcome. And
We could go deep on that, but
oh yeah,
could be seen as controversial, but that's actually the real message of Jesus if you really actually study it.
yeah,
both
correct,
both both geographically, culturally, and philosophically.
yeah,
And it's hard to turn the other cheek. It's hard to love your neighbor. It's hard to love your enemy. Um, and it's hard in the face of injustice, right? And so
yeah,
I think there is a time and a place to put people in their place, and there's a time and a place to cut people off, and there's a time and a
yeah,
place to fight. But I think the weapons that we have now are different than the weapons that we may have used in the past, right? And so now it's raising good kids. Now it's building community. Now it's building a business. It's having the audacity, in spite of all those challenges, to come forward into the world as your authentic self when it's so much
yeah,
easier to either hide behind and be a coward and do nothing or fit in and pretend and wear this mask when you know it's not who you really are, what you really believe. And that's
yeah.
the challenge that our generation is facing.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's very sad, yeah, to have to balance all of this as an adult and then try to teach your kids the right way of things. Because your challenge right now as a parent is like the school systems and what they get taught over there, their
Yeah.
friends' parents. You're not there 24/7 to like
Right.
be vigilant of what's being spewed onto them. So I just I instead of stressing myself out and trying to shove into their head, be a good person, I try to just model it. And I'm
Yeah.
like, the kids, I feel, learn more by observation more than anything.
100%. 100%.
So
Yeah.
yeah, like for me, it's like donations, charity is a big thing. And I'm like, how can I continue to help my community? If I hear that an entrepreneur is like stuck somewhere, sometimes I'll even just like help them for free just because I want them to
Yeah.
excel. Every time I hear someone say, "Oh, I'm fully booked for this month," it warms my heart so much because I know that
Good.
all of that kindness and all of that love comes back to me. There's been so many times where I'm like, how am I going to get out of this? How am I going to like move forward from whatever? And lo and behold, people that are like, hey, you've been a good person to me. Let me help you out in this. I've always come together in these times. And it's all that like give and take reciprocation type of thing
Yeah.
that you put out there. And so that's like the main thing that I try to teach the kids, especially in these trying times
That's so good.
for both of our
That's
of our people.
that's so good. And I agree. And I think you know, I'm interested to see your take or hear your take on because I've struggled with this. You have a giving heart, you want to help people, right? Obviously, that can get taken advantage of. And so, when we talked about at being a business owner, you're really not a business owner until it can run without you, because until then, you just own your job. You're
Yep.
self-employed. Being
Yep.
self-employed does not mean that you're a business owner. A
I always
business
say
owner implies that it runs without you.
you're paying yourself to go to work if that's
Yeah.
the
Instead
if
of a
that's
nine
the
to five,
level
you're
you're
working 24/7. Yeah, right.
correct.
So
Yeah.
how do you go though? For me, it's having working on my self-worth issues that are childhood issues, trauma and abuse and all that kind of stuff that kind of help. Unfortunately, we have all this talent and we can work hard and we can go to the gym, we can go to all the schools, but there's still those little things within us that are broken sometimes, and they come out in relationships and they come out in our business and they come out in our careers. And how do you like become the best version of yourself and demand the quality and the compensation that you deserve for the work that you do, but then also balance it with being available to help those that really need it. And so for me, my goal has always been like when I was working in the music industry, my goal was to create basically a record label that could provide all the services that a record label would provide to emerging artists, but without having to own any of their music or any of their art, just
Right.
provide that service. And if there was a fee that made sense to go with that, great. But it wasn't because I was trying to steal their art or make anything off of them, right? So there's that tension. But how, for me now, it's like I want to elevate myself individually in my career as an entrepreneur, as a leader, so that I can maximize myself in the market, but then also have the flexibility to provide for those that really do need it, right? So I'm not going to
Right.
overcharge the people that just can't, but I want to be able to charge appropriately for the people that can so that I have that freedom to be pro bono when needed.
Right. Um, so when it's come to that last part, there has been a lot of times where I've gotten people who were recommended, right? Like, oh, this lady, she helps out a bunch of people. And I'm like, oh, thank you for the recommendation, but who are you recommending me to? Because the person that was on
Yes.
the phone with just a few minutes ago, they clearly can't afford me. And
Right.
the thing is that it hurts my heart sometimes to have to say like I can't go lower because of all the things that you need, but I can recommend you to somebody else. Or what I can do is I do payment plans, or I have in the past just said I can help you with this part, recommend you
Yeah.
for this part, and then give you a discount for this part. Just
I
because
love
I
that. I
still
love
want to
that.
help out,
I love that.
and try to work around, try to cover just exhaust your resources as to how you can help this person if you really want to, but like at the end of the day, do not feel bad if you just can't, because it's the
Mm,
intention that matters. And that's what's going to be rewarded if you feel it
I
on a
love that.
spiritual level. But it's also going to be, you get that helper's high too. Helper's high is something that has helped me when I felt like, what am I, gonna do the here and there. And I felt like in this whole of what's that one? I don't think it's a syndrome, but it's a uh
Talking
imposter
about,
syndrome.
oh yeah,
Imposter syndrome, where you're like, oh,
yeah,
I'm not doing good enough. I could be doing better and blah blah blah. And
yeah,
then here comes someone and says, I need help with this. And it's like, okay, so then you dedicate yourself thinking that you're
right.
distracting yourself from your personal situation. And then you see this person light up and just thank you from the bottom of their
Yes,
heart, because if it wasn't for you, they would have no idea, blah, blah, blah. And it's
totally,
like, oh, that feels really good. You know what? It's all
totally.
going to be okay. It's going to be all right because
Well, a
that
lot of times,
person, yeah.
a lot of times imposter syndrome is mixed with, oh God, I just had it, with survivor's guilt or savior's
Yeah.
complex. So you
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
imposter syndrome, savior complex, and survivor guilt all kind of mixed
Hmm.
together.
Oh,
And
man.
especially when your parents come from another country or your parents had to work so that you could have the life that you have, all those kind of things. You see, all of a sudden you're living in a better community than maybe that you grew up in, and there's a little bit of guilt, and your friends, oh, you think you're all bad now that you went to this school or you
Hell
lived
yeah,
over
I
here,
do.
you did this. And I'm like,
Yeah, what the
well,
hell?
you know what I
You,
mean?
I know, I absolutely, that's one thing that I will say. If someone comes up to me with that, like if they come at me sideways in that aspect of like,
Yeah, yeah,
oh,
yeah.
you think, yes, I absolutely think that I'm better than you. I absolutely believe that I am
You just own it.
more
You just own it.
superior. Yes, because I'm not the one talking trash on somebody else. I'm not the
Yeah.
one making fun of the person that's beneath me. I go to bed knowing that I did my part in the world. So yes, I'm 100% better than you in that aspect. In that
Okay.
aspect, you can be better than me in a lot of different ones. You could have,
Sure, sure.
better face, better whatever, but in that aspect, 1,000%. And I will
Well,
own that.
and I appreciate you saying that because a lot of times people, as I'm contemplating kind of some of my next moves and different chapters of my career and leadership and stuff, I've whenever you step into a greater position, whether it's as a business owner, whether it's running for office, or whether it's as a parent, whenever you go to that next level, no matter what you do, people are going to have something to say about it, right? And a lot of times people
Yeah.
end up not making decisions that are in alignment with their authentic self because they're afraid of what their parents are going to say, what their friends are going to say, what their spouse is going to say, whatever, right? What society will say, what social media will say. And so to be able
Yeah.
to authentically kind of own that, and then like you said, like I don't take the time to hate on anyone. I definitely no one above you is going to be hating on you. It's only people below you.
No,
And not to say that in a hierarchy, but just like
no,
people are
it's
just
fine.
so negative. And coming from a small town, a small community, there's that like, oh, it's the other person's fault. And it's like, okay, well, is there some historic systemic issues that have caused depression over the years? That's undeniable. And has that led to some certain circumstances? Absolutely. Okay, we
Mhm.
acknowledge it, we address it. But here we are now. And what those generations didn't have is what we have, which is called the internet. So, with the internet, you now have access to any skill or information you've ever wanted. So, the fact that you still want to bitch and moan as if you're stuck 100 years ago, it's not 100 years
Correct,
ago. So, does it suck
correct.
what happened then and what it led to? Sure. But now that we have that hindsight and that retrospect, what are you going to do with it? And that's my question to people who, instead of using the struggle as a step to get to that next level and to get out of it, they just want to complain and cry and shame the people that they feel put them there. And it's like, okay, well, dig yourself out of it. Let's go. What are we going to do about
Hmm.
it? Okay, yeah, there's these issues happening in the Middle East. Okay, yeah, there's this happening. There's issues happening in DC. There's issues happening here in Monterey. What are we going to do about it?
Hmm.
We're going to cry about it, or we're
Correct,
going to make a change.
correct. And when you think that you got rid of those, then come the other ones that are like, well, I made it. I went through everything. I did it the right way. Why can't
Right,
you do it? Why these
right,
kids
right,
don't even have the backbones anymore? And it's like,
right.
bro,
Yeah.
back if I had
Okay,
the
boomer.
opportunity,
Yeah.
yeah, like if I had the opportunity to stop fucking around in third grade and actually buy real estate, I would have. But
Of
sorry,
course,
no,
we
I
all would
didn't
have.
have.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't have the same economy as you did. So,
Totally, totally.
sorry that I sucked back when I was in seventh grade. But
Right.
no, yeah, and it. it's even worse when it's your own people. It's like
Yes.
all of a sudden
Crabs in a
you
bucket.
forget, yeah, all of a sudden you forget where you're from. You forget the people that put you on are from,
Right.
how, what they did,
Right.
what they struggle with at the hands of who they struggled with. And you want to come over here and shame everybody else that's at least trying for the most part.
Right. Right.
Or put down or try to pretend that you're not a part of this. My guy, the nopal is like sticking out right here. At the end of the day, you are one of us no matter what. And you can't, you
What would
can
be
try
the
to
Arab version of that? What would be the Arab version of that?
oh man, actually in Palestine we actually do have nopales, but it's actually funny, but I don't even know. It's not more so that we would put an item, we would just call you sharmut. Like it's like it's a cuss word, but we normally say it's like traitors and people
Oh,
that, you could have
yeah.
helped your own, but instead you wanted to side with the enemy at Sharmut. So
Yeah, and the Americans say from the Revolutionary War, Benedict Arnold, because that was the American that went back to fight for the
oh yeah,
Redcoats. But Benedict
yeah, yeah,
Arnold, it would be the American like saying.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I didn't know that Benedict Arnold. That's cool.
Yeah.
But
It's the
I
same
don't
thing, traitor, like forgot where you're from, like, sold us out. Sell
gotcha.
out. Sell out would be another one. Yeah.
Sell out. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, same thing for us.
Yeah.
Or no, there was another one in also in Mexico, una Malinche, the
Mhm.
girl that sold us out to Cortez. So
Yep.
I actually call my dad that sometimes whenever he pisses me off, and he's
Ah.
like, I'm like, you went with who? You hung out with who? Oh, so you give them all our secrets, I bet. And he's like, stop, dude. So
Oh man. Yeah.
but yeah, so on the flip side of the other ones, those are my honestly, I can't with those. I won't sit down and argue with any of them because
Yeah.
the thing with me is that if you come to argue with me, it's there's no point. The sky is green as long as you're pissed off about me saying that. And
Right.
I don't care if
Right.
I'm wrong at the end of the day. My only goal is to see you angry because it makes me feel good. Like that sounds horrible, but it's
Well,
like,
yeah, it's tough. You gotta protect your peace, right? Especially as a individual, but also as a parent, you have to protect your peace because you have to protect them, right, from everything else that's going on. So I'm sure that balancing all that, you might have your own personal feelings about an issue, but you realize like, oh, I got to be careful how and that's the same thing whether you're a parent, whether you're a leader, whether you're a teacher. Like sometimes when you sign up for those jobs or those callings, you sacrifice a little bit your own opinion because you think, well, I might feel some type of way about this issue, but I got to be careful because I know people are watching me, and not just in a weird way, but in like I want to inspire them and I want to be mindful of the fact
yeah,
that I'm an influential person in their world. And so I need to be respectful and not just reactionary. I need to be like thoughtful about how I approach these situations, even though I want to say
1000%.
some shit.
Oh no, see, it's weird. I'm always in a weird, it's always like situational. So I will
Yes, totally.
I'll be respectful. I will come correct. You will never have a problem in the beginning ever
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I'm not here to argue with anybody. I know
Right.
what I
Right.
know. I can pull out receipts and the facts of whatever it is that I am claiming or talking about. Um, but at the other side of things, like if you just keep going on and like now you're looking to argue with me, it's like
Right. Right.
I still won't argue,
Right.
but I will get you pissed off. And and it's
Yep.
only because it's like, oh, okay, well, let me see. Okay, no, I got time.
I got
So
time
let's
today.
yeah, 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 like okay. But if I really don't, then I'll just be like, whatever, dude. Yeah, but
Yeah.
you're not worth it.
I know.
But like it's always situational for me. But like I would say in the initial aspect of it, in the beginning, yes, always respectful, always whatever. And then as that advances, it's like, all right, game on. But
Totally.
that's
Well, I
just
don't
because
like
my dad.
to totally, yeah. Well, my dad was crazy. I mean, I unfortunately didn't have the best experience growing up, but what it taught us to be good fighters, both verbally and physically. And for me, I was in a lot of fights growing up, but none of them usually were my because I started it, was usually defending someone else, right? And
Same. Yes.
so that's kind of how I look at it now, going into these situations. There's not one issue that I feel the need to go attack someone over, but I
Yeah.
also feel the need to protect and to defend those that can't protect and defend for themselves. So in
Hmm.
that regard, sometimes that requires you to fight, right? But I
Yeah.
also see that it can be a trap and it can steal your energy and your joy, right? And your focus. And
Hmm.
so the prayer, whatever your prayer looks like, for me, it's like, help me to focus on the things that matter and block out the things that don't. And be, I'm in a season now where I was, didn't really protect my energy or my money or my health, and all those things suffered because of it. And so now waking up to realizing like I need to make those things a point of emphasis so that I can be the best version of myself. Because
Hmm.
the devil don't take a day off. whatever
No.
whatever version of religion you subscribe to, like we all have
Correct.
that same, like you can connect to that phrase, right? Like,
Oh yeah,
so
man. Hardest worker ever. No, for
yeah.
the meditation is a huge part of it too, and prayer
Mm,
comes along with it 100%.
yeah.
For me, I just say like one word 3 times, and it's not that it clears out like everything that I just did, but it does put me back in my place. Like if there's only one reason that I'm saying this, it's because I'm in the wrong. Because that I can admit when I'm in the wrong,
Yeah.
I can admit when I messed
Yeah.
up, I can admit, and it's
Yeah.
astaghfirullah. Astaghfirullah means please forgive me, like God forgive
Mm,
me.
it's a
And the
reset.
only, yes, exactly. It's like, hold on, let me come back because I just messed up. And I know that you and I are going to have a conversation later and I'm going to feel shame. So let me just stop myself right here and realize that I know you're watching me. I know you're listening to me
Yeah.
and I got to calm
I
down.
love that. I
So,
love that.
yeah.
I love that. So
Well,
we could go on and on about, all the things, politics, faith, and business. I'm super excited to try your new locations, and I've seen the development of them on social media, but I haven't been able to attend them in person. So I definitely want to do that. But besides your stores and your shops, where can people find you, and where can they connect you if they need your services or if they just want to learn more about your projects?
yeah, so I'm on social media. I'm on Instagram. There is my main business page, which is Zahran.inc. And then I have my other page, which is just me and my adventures wherever I go. I like to do a lot of trips and then try to give little history snippets here and there. And then whatever I do with my kids too. I'm huge on taking my kids out into places. I want them to always
Love that.
know that Monterey County is not the end of it. They have so many options and they can go and they
Not
can
even
leave,
close.
you know?
Not
It's
even
like,
close.
so it's
Yes.
like all my adventures are on there, and that's just my name, Angelica Zahran. And then I do have Facebook. I do have Facebook. I do have Facebook, but it's I don't go on there for memes. You can't really find me doing anything else there. But my email address, angelica.pra@gmail.com. That's my main email.
Okay.
And then in public, I mean, you'll find me in a lot of Mexican restaurants just attacking a burrito at a Jalisciense. So I mean
Awesome.
that unless I'm at the shops, and I guess there too. But yeah,
Well, my goal, and I would love to have you involved, and I've already talked to Crystal about it too. I want to start creating networking events that are smaller and more curated and not like, I don't know, a lot of networking events suck. And
oh my gosh,
it's usually organized with some kind of an agenda, right? Like to get you to donate or to get you to join something or whatever. I
hmm,
just want to actually create, like, get the core people in rooms, and this is part of why I'm doing this podcast, like people that I've been wanting to have these conversations with, doing it this way, which is great, but also let's do it in person. And then if it's not weird, let's have cameras rolling. What incredible
yeah,
content. Have these types of conversations where it's more like organic and just kind of behind the scenes and just people collaborating, because you can get in 1 hour of quality networking with the right people, you can get more done in that 1 hour than months of trying to
oh yeah,
connect, emailing and calling. And so just really, we all have those people within our network. And like just recently I was on a board and I needed a HR specialist and an attorney, and that was a mutual friend, and that was through networking. And he came in and saved
that's
the
awesome.
day. But I wasn't going to go to the yellow pages and start trying to call attorneys. Good luck with that. But it was
No,
like
no,
the perfect referral at the perfect time. And now that's going to be a lifelong connection, because it was like And that's how you want it to happen. So I'm going to be creating some of those events. I'll keep you posted and would love to have you as part of that at some point and can't wait to check out your shop. So thank you so much for your time. I know you're very busy, so I do appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And yeah, let's do it. Just a quick
Yeah.
suggestion. In New York, they do this amazing networking stuff where it's like it's either over coffee or over drinks. And it's like someone comes in with an abundance of knowledge in some type of sector and they like bring in a whole PowerPoint presentation. People can ask questions, people can interact with it. It's like this learning session type of situation with someone that's like accredited even and things like that. Kind of like a lunch and learn, but
Yeah.
more close, like intimate, where it's just these particular people that are truly interested in this topic. And now you're surrounded by like-minded individuals, not just like, oh, I want to go make friends and see, who I can.
Right.
And those are the networking sessions that I can't stand,
All right.
where people are networking for other reasons. It's like, no,
Right. Right.
this is gonna be
Right.
the topic. This is, if you
Right.
are interested in this topic, then come on. But
Yeah.
yeah, I would love to be a part of it. Let me know, email
Awesome.
me, message me. Thank
Will
you, Jordan.
will do. Well, thank you so much for your time. We'll be in touch and can't wait to share this with everyone. Have a great night.
Sounds great. You too. Bye.